Hello, I'm Graham and welcome to GcodeHub. This video is a quick introduction to the software and how you can use it to download some 3D printable projects. So what is GcodeHub? Well, it aims to be a handy 3D printing companion with quite a lot of useful features. At the heart of GcodeHub is some pretty advanced tools capable of analyzing and modifying G-code in quite a lot of ways. For the time being, or at the time this video is created, GcodeHub is a pretty premature release. And the reason I released it quite early is because I think it can be quite beneficial to the current pandemic, as it would serve as quite an easy source to get some fundamental 3D printable files out. So as you probably know if you've done any 3D printing, is that to download someone else's 3D printable model, you need to download in a generic model or mesh format such as an STL, which you would then slice in some slicing software. And that's something that tends to be pretty complicated and annoying to a lot of people, especially for some parts that need a fair amount of instructions you need to follow to set up the slicer properly. A lot of the times these instructions can get quite complex, especially when you have to set up multiple slicing profiles for a part. So this is partly where the idea of GcodeHub came from, is it would be the ability to share 3D printable projects as already sliced G-code, so that you could simply download the G-code and print it immediately. As a lot of you might know already, it isn't really that simple. Once a model is sliced to G-code, it's very specific to a particular 3D printer, and in a lot of cases, even the same model of 3D printer will struggle because they can be slightly different, and then you have different materials you slice for on top of that, making it all very specific. So the way GcodeHub does it slightly differently is you would actually download G-code that's been sliced already by the author, and then based on your settings for your printers and filaments, it will modify that G-code for those printers. So what you can see here, because no one has actually used GcodeHub yet as of making this video, is just some projects that I put up myself. So to get started, we're going to download one of these projects and try and build it for one of my printers. So to do that, you simply go in it, you can read information on the project, have a look at what files are available, and then simply click download project. And that's going to add it to your library. So I now have a look at my library, download library, click refresh. And there is the project I've downloaded, although I haven't actually downloaded it yet. You'll notice now if I click refresh, G-code compatibility, it can't actually check compatibility because I haven't created any printers yet. So that's the first step, is go to profile and printers. I'm going to add a printer here. I'm going to add it for my Ender 3, my Creality Ender 3. So I'll just say Ender 3, manufacturer's Creality, Ender 3. That's 235 by 235 by, I think, 300. It doesn't really matter. It's got 0.4 nozzle on it. Filament width is 1.75. Typical travel speed. So what I'm filling in here is settings specific for my printer. It's got nothing to do with what my material is I'm going to print. It's just my printer. So typical travel speed is actually just printer specific, because it's going to be like, the speed that the extruder moves when it's doing retractions or when it's just moving around the platform. So that's not really dependent on what material you're actually printing with, whereas print speed, for example, is dependent on the material. So for my Ender 3, I think my travel speed is about 80 millimeters per second. Firmware type is Marlin, and the bed origin is bottom left. I'll create that. Now I need to add a material profile. I'm just going to add a generic PLA one. Let's call it default PLA. Brand, default, doesn't really matter. Material type is PLA. So purchase URL, price, not relevant. I can add those if I want. If, for example, I wanted to create a profile for each brand of material, or maybe even like a color for that, a specific color for that brand, I can do that, and I can add a link to it. It just helps organize it a bit better. The price exists because eventually I want to have like a cost analysis in there as well, so that you can see how much a part is going to cost, which is something I haven't quite added yet. So we're going to create a material profile. And now we've got a printer, we've got a material. Now what we need to do is click this button here and create a material configuration. So this is where you would set up your specific configuration that you would use for this material on this printer. So I want to say my nozzle is 200 degrees, my bed end of freeze probably about 55 degrees is good. My retraction distance, I think I used 2.4 millimeters. My my retraction speed. I think I found a good spot about 60 millimeters per second. Typical print speed, I think 60 millimeters per second is good for that as well. And my extrusion multiplier, I have set to about 1.04. I have it at 1.04 because my Ender 3 doesn't actually allow me to configure the E steps, and they seem quite undertuned. So 1.04 just accounts for that ability to increase the E steps a little bit more. So I'll create that. And now I have a profile that I can use to build this model with. So I go back to my download library, refresh the compatibility. Now it's checked and it knows I can download these for a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, and you will be able to download the files. I would recommend that you download these individually. You could click them all at once, but I've noticed a slight issue with this initial release, so it's best to just wait until you see G-code downloaded and then click the next one. So you see, once you downloaded those, it puts them in an output at the bottom here, and you can hover over them to see some analysis of that file. So it tells you like the model size, the print speed, the travel speed, bed temperature, nozzle temperature. So all you need to do from here is just click, well, you can click the files you want, or click select all G-code files, click build for printer. The slight warning here is this is experimental software. Click proceed. Select the configuration you want to build for from the list, and then click build selected files. So I'll do some analysis and then it'll modify and save the output. Click close once it's done, and then you'll have this output box, which explains, the printer you built it for, the filament you've built it for, and then your output files. And you can see there's analysis done on these if you hover over it. You can see it's modified them for the printer and filament configuration you've supplied. So now it's got a print speed of 60 millimeters per second, travel speed of 80, bed temperature is 55, nozzle temperature is 200, and it's detected a bed size of 235 by 235. And the best way to confirm this is if you open it up in the 3D model preview, and that's the part. Red lines are just retractions, you can disable that. So that's the part that will be printed, and you've got your typical layer preview tools, a few camera tools. You can change your perspective if you wanted to. Yeah, so I believe that's it. And once you're done, once you're happy with them, you can just go to the hover over the file, click Show in Explorer. Yep, and the free default PLA. So you can just copy these files over to your SD card. And that, I think, about covers it for a quick introduction to the software. So thank you very much for watching.